This isn't my story, but is the story of a departed uncle, R.I.P. Hage. Backstory. In WW2, my Uncle Hage was an engineer with the RAF. He rapidly climbed the ranks and ended up being the head engineer at a local base. After the war, he met his wife of 45 years, Eve. It was the typical post-war relationship, without children though due to complications. He quickly found a job at our village coal mine, known locally as the Pit. He went from engineer to foreman very quickly. The man had a knack for leadership, that's for sure. He and Eve, some of his RAF buddies and his sister, my grandmother, often went to Spain for holidays, at least once a year before they all retired after that, whenever they felt like it. The family. The unfortunate truth is that family isn't always nice. My grandmother was his only surviving direct family. Eve, on the other hand, had a large family. Very large. The trouble with large families is that often there's a few bad eggs. In this case, it was quicker to count the good ones. As Hage would put it, the trouble with eggs is you can only tell the good ones by spinning them quick or dunking them in water. I don't fancy going to prison. More often than not, Eve's family would drop by and ask to borrow money. Not from Eve. She had none. Hage had always been industrious, saving as much as he could and only really spending what he had to, other than the holidays, of course. The incident. When I hit 18, legal drinking age in the UK, he took me for my first beer, as my dad worked nights and had to sleep. He didn't drink, which was uncommon for him, as he was a regular at the working men's club we were in. "Nay, Hage, how come you're not drinking? I can't in good conscience drink your money without you getting a sniff." Hage. Well, I suppose one can't hurt. Don't tell Nip, his name from my grandmother Sheila, but I've just been diagnosed with diabetes type 2. Don't want to take any chances. "Nay, I'll keep your secret, but you need to tell her, just on the off chance." "Hage, I'll tell her in good time. Kiddo, now get it down you before it goes flat." Neither of us took much notice of the people around us, so we didn't notice Eve's nephew in the corner. 5 years pass. I've seen him a few times. Less than I'd like because of work and him going overseas. The build-up. I visited my grandparents one day to find my grandmother sobbing, with Hage sitting on the sofa. "Hagey, put the kettle on, kid. I need to tell you something. I make a coffee for Gran and Granddad, hot chocolate for me, and green tea for Hagey. Hage, now listen up. I've not got long on this wretched planet, but you're not to cry over me. I've been diagnosed with late-stage cancer and couldn't be happier to be leaving. To Gran. Sorry, Nip, I know you don't want to hear this, but it has to be said. You and yours will be looked after, of course, but you're not to tell Eve and her family. To everyone. I've made up a new will. I want everyone to go to the reading. I've prepared a little gift for the family." Shortly after this chat, we found out he passed away. We kept from my grandmother that he'd taken his own life. It'd destroy her. Let it be said that Hagey was always a man independent of others. He made his choice, so Gran wouldn't suffer seeing him deteriorate over time. The revenge. We went to the reading as a family like he asked. It's the only thing he ever asked of us. We'd seen people we never met, never even heard of, so, of course, there were some sullen scowls across the table. Lawyer. Now that we're all here, please watch this video. Hudge has a message for you all. Hage from beyond. Now then, I imagine this will be a shock to most of you, but I had cancer. If you're watching this, I want you to know that some of you made my last few years pleasant. Others, well, we'll get to you. To my side of the family, not one of you came to me asking if I was all right or wanted anything done. Instead, you asked if I wanted a hand with anything. For this, I thank you. I've never had anyone do anything for me unless they were my underlings in the RAF, and I didn't aim to start when I found out I was on my way out. You knew me better than most of my close family. I'll tell you if something's wrong. Good on you. Now then, let's get to the good bit. To Eve's family, you lot, where do I begin? When I took our Nip's grandson out for his first pint, apparently the walls have ears, and one of you overheard me tell him I had diabetes. Shame, you had to say. It's a shame it wasn't cancer. Guess you got your wish. Hey, the rest of you, whenever you visited me, you asked more often than not if you could borrow money. It's fine, I didn't mind lending it to you, but I did expect to get it back. So Here's how this is going to work. I've split my money and put it in trust with my oldest friend, the lawyer. Nobody is getting a thing till Eve pops her clogs, so don't bother asking. Eve can stay in the house I worked hard for until she either dies or has to go into care for any reason. The house is not to be sold until after she dies. Lazy as she is, she's still my wife. Once she dies, the house is to be sold at a reasonable price to the next owners, and the money from that is to be added to the total for my finances and split with the family. Eve's is her own, and she can do with it what she wants, other than add it to my total. Lawyer has been left instructions on this. Now, here's how it'll be split. If you've borrowed money from me and paid it back, you'll get a fair share based on your age at the time of my death. If you haven't repaid the money you borrowed, you'll still get a cut, minus what you owe me. For some of you, I hope you know I'm laughing at your squirming from beyond the grave. Serve you right. Nip, my only living family. You'll get the lion's share of whatever is there, to be done with what you will. If you're not wanting to keep it, lawyer has been paid for any services you may require. Trust him, he's a good lad and saved me on more than one occasion in the war. Nip's sons will get a decent chunk to help with whatever you need, and your children will be provided for as well. To my mum, not once have I heard anything bad about you. You're getting a cut too. Like it or lump it. OP, you've been a great help the last couple of weeks. I called you unfairly at 3 a.m. to help me out of the bath after finally giving up getting myself out. Sorry you had to see that. You didn't have to help the next day with the decorating either. If you weren't already on your career path, you'd make a fine tradesman. You will receive a cut to be determined by the near future's events. Use it how you will. To the rest of you, I'm utterly freaking to have known you. I mentioned earlier that Eve can live in the house till she dies or is put into residential care. If either of these happens, nobody is to live in the house. I don't want anyone I don't trust in there. Now quit your crying and go about your lives, Haja. As you can imagine, people kicked up a stink about this. We nodded to the lawyer and left. Shortly after the funeral, Eve went into a retirement home. With her own money, Hodges was locked up as per his request. She had more than enough to keep her afloat for many more years. A couple of months down the line, we all got called back to the lawyer's office, a little bemused. Again, we're directed to watch a video. Heiji, I'm not surprised that this video has been played. Some of you just don't follow orders. If you're watching this, it means that someone I don't trust was found to be living in my house. I don't care who it is, lawyer, has instructions of what to do next. But, for the sake of his voice and sanity, whoever was found in the house against my wishes is now stricken from the will entirely. If the others feel they want to share their money with you, that's their loss. You'll not get a penny from me. As it turns out, my cousin, who bullied me in school, and her family, as in her on- and off boyfriend, 2 kids and a dog, had moved into the house after convincing Eve to move out because they needed the house. What they hadn't counted on is their nosy neighbors. Hodge asked them to watch the house, and if they saw anyone new in there or any signs of moving, to report to the lawyer for updates. In return, they'd get a cut of the money he had. They're good people. The lesson: don't screw with a war vet. Okay, so backstory. I just got an iPhone 8 and fell in love with it, and I ride the bus from school, so I have parents and kids ask what type of phone it is and show it off and stuff, but never had to deal with something like this, and I also had to pick up my little brother. He's got a service dog. So to start this story off, I just got off of the base and was walking to my little brother's school. I got there and he just got back to school. He actually just got his service dog. So many kids were amazed, and I liked talking about the dog to the kids who would listen, and then me and my brother walked off. So we are about halfway there, and my brother's good girl had to relieve herself, so he unfolded a plastic bag, and I pull out my phone and start texting a friend as a car pulls up, and a lady is like, "EM, what type of phone is that?" she says in a smug voice. "Nay, iPhone 8Y. EM, my son needs a phone, so can I have yours?" "Me, no, I bought this and I am keeping it." "EM, you can buy another one then." "EK, Mommy, I want his phone." The mom looks at me and starts yelling at me to give her my phone, so I flip her off and my little brother comes over and we start walking, and this lady pulls up to us, and I kid you not, this is what she says. "Since you already promised me your phone, your dog is now also mine." Nee. "Shut your mouth, insane lady. I said nothing to you, and I am not giving you my brother's service dog." I guess because of how long it was taking us to get back, my mom started walking, and then she arrived at our spot. This lady had our smug look on her face like I was a bug caught in one of those glue traps. Thank goodness, ma'am. Those 2 boys took my son's stuff." Mom. "Oh, really, guys? Our names. What did you take?" How do you know their names?" Mom turned to look at her. "They're my kids, and that's their stuff." We all started walking proud, and we thought was leaving. Oh no, she had just acted, but she was stalking us, and when we went inside, she came and started pounding on our door, threatening us, saying she will destroy our house or rob us if we didn't give her son what he wanted. And then, worst of all, the old entitled parent trick walk off, but don't leave. She actually just secretly calls the cops. The cops are coming, and I told them you broke into my house and stole my things. Me. Go away, crazy lady. I started yelling, hoping to get the neighbors to notice what was happening, and the neighbors are a nice old, retired veteran, real nice man, and his daughter is a veteran with a husband who works as a police officer. They notice and start looking down the street for the cops and tell them what is going on, so the cops turn the corner. This entitled mom and entitled kangaroo are giving us smug looks like you busted. And the cops then start questioning us. They gave their part, me and my brother gave our part, and we had a camera doorbell. When the police were asking about house tapes, the EM and EK got scared. Scared. The cops were like, whose phone is it? And then both me and EK raised our hands. They checked the passcode and needed more proof that the phones were ours, so we scanned our thumbs and did all these things, and the odds were in my favor. And then to the dog, the entitled mom says, the dog's a good boy. Why did they have to steal him? But me, being the weeb, I say, for starters, it's a girl and you don't even know the breed. It's a red fox Dudley. The cops ask the last question, what is the dog's name? She says Penny. I say Star, and then I pull out the collar. The name was Star, and you know what entitled mom says. They changed collars. Yep, we had enough time to go to the machines and change collars. Arrest these lying witches. Me, we also have a video doorbell. The doorbell recorded her threatening, her saying she wanted to take our dog and some other things I hadn't noticed. She destroyed my garden, hopped the fence, tried to get in the backyard door and stomped on all my flowers and kicked over my dog's house so her little kids could pet her. I pressed charges and sued for destruction of my expensive flowers and garden. It overall was like $12,000.